Good morning everyone. Let's start today's class with the concept of technological progress and how many types of technological progress are there. Okay. Now what is technological progress? First of all, why we are studying this concept under this production and cost chapter. Now technology is a very integral part of production. Okay. It is a very important part of the production process. If you have a good technology or an upgraded technology, that means you can produce the output at a lower cost. Okay, and if you have a degraded and outdated technology, your cost of production will be very high. So technology is very important in the determination of cost of production and how efficiently you are producing the output. So technological progress basically can be defined in two ways. Say before technological progress, your farm was using 10 laborers and 10 capital, and using this level of inputs you were able to produce 100 outputs. Okay, so in your farm you have 10 laborers and 10 capitals, you are using these inputs and you are able to produce this amount of output. Now after technological progress has taken place, two circumstances may occur. Technological progress may occur in two manners. Okay? In one way, you can still use 10 laborers and 10 capitals. However, as your farm has witnessed technological progress, earlier you were able to produce 100. Now, due to technical progress, you will be able to produce more than this 100 level of output, say 200. Okay? So basically what technological progress has done, it has increased the productivity of your labor and capital. Earlier, 10 laborers and 10 capital were able to produce 100 units of output. Okay? Now same inputs, the 10 laborers and 10 capitals are able to produce 200 levels of output. That means their productivity has increased. Over here we have kept input constant. Okay? So keeping the input constant, we are able to produce more because of technological progress. And another thing may happen, say now we still want to produce 100 outputs. Okay? Now in market only 100 outputs are demanded. So there is no incentive for the producer to increase the level of output. So he is keeping output constant. Now due to technical progress, now this 100 level of output can be produced by lesser amount of labor and lesser amount of capital. Okay? So here output has been kept constant, whereas input has reduced due to technical progress. So technical progress can be defined in two ways. It can be defined as it is a state or it is a situation in which you are able to produce more output using the same level of input, or you can again define it as it is a situation in which you are able to produce the same level of output by a lesser amount of input. Okay, so in both the cases we are having technical progress. Okay, in one we were keeping input constant and in the other we kept the output constant. Okay, so this is technical progress. Now technical progress can be of three types. It can be neutral technical progress. It can be labor saving technical progress, and it can be capital saving technical progress. Okay. As I go on speaking about their full forms, please note that down. Okay. The first one is neutral technical progress. It is a neutral technical progress is a situation in which the marginal productivity of both the inputs, that is labor and capital, increases in an equal manner, in the same proportion. That means due to neutral technical progress, the marginal productivity of labor and marginal productivity of capital both increases. Okay. However, the increase in both of them is equal. If the marginal productivity of labor increases by 5 units, the marginal productivity of capital also increases by 5 units. Okay. And in any form of technical progress, marginal productivity of factor will increase. Okay. Technological progress basically increases the productivity of any of your inputs. So in all of them, you will witness increase in the marginal productivity of factors. Over here, the increase in the marginal productivity of factors are equal, and it can be shown with the help of a diagram. So over here you have output, and over here you have over here you have labor, you have capital over here. Okay, so you have the two inputs on both axes. And before technical progress, your ISO cost curve was AB ISO cost curve. Okay, and it is before technical progress. This AB is the ISO cost curve before technical progress. And before technical progress, your ISO quant was tangent to AB at this point E. The point E is the equilibrium point before technical progress, and at this equilibrium you were able to produce 100 level of output. Okay, and you were using 10 labor and 10 capital. Okay, so before or the post before or pre-technical progress situation, you were in equilibrium at point E, where you were producing 100 units of output using 10 units of labor and 10 units of capital. Now, due to technical progress, you will be able to produce the same level of output, say Q equals to 100. However, now you will be using a less amount of input, say 5 labor and 5 capital. Okay, so now you are able to produce same 100 units of output, but the input requirement has decreased. Why the input requirement has decreased? Because the labors and the capital's productivity has increased. The marginal productivity of labor and marginal productivity of capital has increased in the same proportion. So now same amount of reduction has been faced by labor and same amount of reduction has been faced by capital. Okay, so whenever you will see that you are having neutral technical progress, neutral means the marginal productivity of labor and marginal productivity of capital are increasing, but they are increasing at the same rate. So that is known as neutral technical progress. And whenever you have a neutral technical progress, you know that you will be able to produce the same level of output with a given level of with a lesser level of inputs. However, the reduction in the inputs will be of same magnitude. If labor decreases by 5 units, the capital will also decrease by 5 units. Okay, and this is the equilibrium post technical progress. This is the equilibrium post technical progress. This is the equilibrium pre-technical progress or before technical progress. So in neutral technical progress, they lie corresponding to each other in the same line. If you pass a straight line. This straight line shows the capital labor ratio, means how much amount of capital and labor you are using. So in the and the capital labor ratio in this case remain constant. See, before technical progress your capital labor ratio was how much unit of capital were you were using? 10 level. How much level of labor you were using? 10 labors. So what is the value of the ratio? 1. Similarly, in the post technical progress equilibrium, your capital labor ratio will remain equals to 1. In the post technical progress situation, you are using 5 units of capital and 5 units of labor, and if you cancel out, it will be equals to 1. So the capital labor ratio remains constant along both the equilibrium if you have neutral technical progress. Okay. Now let us discuss the concept of labor saving technical progress. Labor saving technical progress is one in which the marginal productivity of capital is higher than the marginal productivity of labor. Okay. So in the neutral technical progress, we have witnessed that the marginal productivity of both the factor increases in the same proportion. However, in the labor saving technical progress, the marginal productivity of capital increases more than the marginal productivity of labor. So, if the marginal productivity of capital is higher than the marginal productivity of labor, then it is beneficial to use more capital than labor. Okay, you will, being a producer, you will always employ that factor whose marginal productivity is higher, because that factor will help you to produce more output with lesser amount of input. Over here, it is the capital whose productivity is higher, so you will use more of capital. So I have drawn a isocont and an isocost line which depict the situation of before technical progress has taken place. So before technical progress, you were at equilibrium EBTP. EBTP means equilibrium before technical progress, and you were able to produce 100 levels of output using this much amount of capital and this much amount of labor. Now suppose a labor saving technical progress has taken place, and now the name of the new isocont CD, isocost curve is CD, and now you will still be able to produce the same level of output however at the new equilibrium, that is a post technical progress equilibrium, you will need to employ more of capital and less of labor. Okay, so initially you were using this much amount of labor, now you are using lesser amount of labor. So what you have done, you have saved your labor inputs, and in case of capital, you have used more of capital inputs. Okay, so basically what you have done, you have reduced the factor or input whose productivity is higher. Okay, and you have substituted labor by capital. You have used capital in place of labor. Okay, so what you have done, you have reduced the amount of labor employment in your industry and you have saved the labor. Okay, so this is why it is known as labor saving technical progress. In case of labor saving technical progress, the marginal productivity of capital is high and higher than the marginal productivity of labor, so it is profitable to employ more of capital than labor. So in the post or after technical progress situation, we still remain at the equilibrium, however in the equilibrium we end up using more of capital and less of labor. So we are saving some amount of labor by employing more amount of capital. And why we are employing more amount of capital? Because the productivity of capital has increased. Okay, so in both the cases, you are able to produce the same level of output. Okay, So we have kept the output level at 100 only. However, uh, the difference comes in the levels of um, inputs. In the first Newton technical progress, we were able to reduce the inputs in the same proportion. We were able to deduct 5 labors, we were able to save 5 labors as well as 5 capitals. Okay. So here it is neither labor saving nor capital saving. We are reducing both the inputs in the same manner. We are saving both the inputs in the same proportion. Over here in this labor saving technical progress, we are saving labor, okay, and we are using more amount of capital in place of labor. So it is known as labor saving technical progress. In the capital saving technical progress, marginal productivity of labor increases more than the marginal productivity of capital. Marginal productivity of capital also increases, but the increase in the marginal productivity of labor is higher than the marginal productivity of capital. So now it is profitable to employ more of labor in your production rather than capital. So how you will draw the diagram? First of all, say capital and labor, then this is your ISO cost curve, name it as AB. Okay, draw your initial equilibrium, that is the the before technical progress equilibrium over here. Q1 equals to 100 at the top, EBAP, and you were using this much amount of labor and this much amount of capital. Now I am saying that we have witnessed a capital saving technical progress. So in such a situation, I will still be able to produce 100 units of output, but the equilibrium now is over here, the post technical progress, and now in the new equilibrium I am able to produce the same level of output. However, now I have to use a bit much of labor and a lesser unit of capital. So what I have done, I am able to save capital over here. And how I am able to save capital over here? By employing labor, or by employing more amount of labor. So I am substituting capital by labor over here. Okay. So I guess the 3 technical progress are clear to you. This is very important for the exam. Okay. And always remember, if you draw a straight line passing from or originating from the point 0 of the graph and connecting your equilibrium point, it will show the capital labor ratio. Okay. So for this also you can get a capital labor ratio. Capital labor ratio post technical progress. This is the before technical progress capital labor ratio. For that diagram also you can find out the capital labor ratio. So you can see the distinction between the 3 diagrams. Here the capital labor ratio remained constant. However, in these 2 diagrams the capital labor ratio will change, because the change in the use of capital and labor ratio has decreased and increased in different magnitude. However, in this diagram, the change or the decrease in the capital and labor uses has been of the same proportion. The reduction in capital and the reduction in labor has been of the same proportion. However, in these 2 diagrams, the changes are of not the same proportion. So there will be change in the capital labor ratio. Okay. So I guess this topic is clear now. Let us now discuss the concept of private and social cost. Okay. Now, what is a private cost? Private cost is basically the cost incurred by the individual for producing a commodity. It is a sum total of implicit cost and explicit cost, or we can say it is the expenditure incurred by an individual producer for employing several factors of production. Now, these factors of production can belong to him also, and he might have to hire it from someone else. So private cost is basically this production cost, and or you can say it is the sum total of explicit or and implicit cost. And it can also be defined as social cost minus external cost. Now for understanding this formula we have to wait. First of all, let us understand the concept of private cost and social cost, and then we will move to what is external cost. Now private costs, for understanding private cost, let us consider an example. Say there is a private producer of cement. He is producing 100 tons of cement. Okay. Now this 100 tons of cement that he is producing is independent of his worry about the society. He is not thinking anything about the society, whether this 100 tons of cement is generating any pollution or not. He is not thinking about that. He is just independently producing his output and earning profit. And however, the society is facing a certain type of harmful effect, or the society has to incur a cost. Now this cost or this harmful effect is in form of pollution. Due to the production of this 100 tons of cement, the society is facing a problem of pollution. Now this problem of pollution or this harmful effect is basically the external cost of the society. Okay. So basically society has innumerable persons, and say there are, this is a society, and the producer is also belonging to the society only. Okay, so this is the producer. The producer is already a part of the society, and these are his neighbors, or the people living nearby his industry. Now, producer is incurring private cost. Or production cost. Okay, so he being the society, he being included in the society, he is already incurring the private cost, and these guys are incurring external cost. Therefore, social cost is basically private cost plus external cost. Now, why I am saying they are facing external cost? Because the production done by this guy is creating pollution for them. Okay, and due to the pollution, they are facing or they are witnessing many diseases. They are going through many health issues. Okay, and in order to counter those health issues, they have to incur medical help, or they have to incur medical costs. Okay, so that cost, the expenditure that they have to make upon getting the medical help is basically the external cost. Or you can also say these guys are facing pollution, and due to those pollution they are becoming ill, and in order to get medical assistance they have to pay some money, and that money which they are paying for medical assistance is basically the external cost. So in society there are four guys. One is the producer, who is already producing the who is already incurring the production cost or the private cost, and the other persons who are incurring the external cost. And why they are producing this incurring this external cost? Because of the production done by this guy is generating a amount of pollution for them, and those pollution is making them ill, and in order to get health assistance they have to pay this external cost. So social cost is basically private cost plus external cost equals to social cost. Okay, over here we are seeing that there lies an external cost. Now this external cost in this example was positive in nature, because people had to incur some expenditure in order to get health assistance. Okay, so every time the production of an output won't generate pollution, it may generate some benefits for the society even. In this case, what will happen? we have this formula: private cost minus external cost equals to social cost. This is in case of harmful effect. If your production is generating an harmful effect, we will have positive external cost. If our output is giving us benefits, if it is producing benefit for the society, then we have negative external cost. Okay, so in this case your social cost will be greater than the private cost. In case of harmful effect, social cost will be greater than the private cost, and in case of benefit, the social cost will be less than the private cost. Okay, so this is the concept of social cost, private cost and external cost. Now we will have to deal with a diagram relating to these three. Effect and positive external cost, and in case of benefit, negative external cost. Now let us take an example of harmful or production of output which is generating harmful effect for the society. Suppose the private individual, depending upon his supply curve or cost curve, private cost, and his demand curve, private benefit curve or private demand curve, is in equilibrium at this point. Private equilibrium is at this point. And how did he reach equilibrium? The private individual reached equilibrium seeing the intersection of his cost curve and his demand curve, or we can say the private individual has reached his equilibrium at the intersection point of his supply curve and his demand curve. Okay, this is private demand and this is the private supply. So supply curve is basically the cost curve and demand curve is basically the benefit curve of the private. Now at this equilibrium he is producing this much level of output. This is the private output. However, the generation or the production of this output is creating a harmful effect for the society. So society will have to incur an external cost, a positive external cost, and therefore in this case the social cost will be greater than the private cost, as I have said earlier. So if this is the private cost, the social cost will be higher. Okay, so this is the social cost. Why it is higher? Because the society is facing an external cost of this amount, AEP amount size. The society is facing a external cost of AEP amount of external cost. Okay, so the private is producing this much amount of output, and based upon the society's cost curve, the society's desirable output level is this. So what we are witnessing, due to the existence of positive external cost, the social cost is greater than the private cost, and the social desirable output is less than the private output. Okay, now society is desiring this much amount of output, whereas the private is producing this much amount of output. That means the private producer is producing more than the social desirable output. Therefore we are witnessing a overproduction over here. If we are producing more than the socially desirable output, that means we are witnessing a situation of overproduction. Okay, and this overproduction is the cause of positive external cost. Okay, so this is the diagram relating to the impact of positive external cost on output. Okay. Similarly, sometimes we will have benefit originating out of the output. Every time the output won't generate pollution, sometimes it will also generate benefit for the society. So cost and benefit. Now this is the private cost curve or the supply curve of the private. This is the private benefit curve or the supply curve, or sorry, the demand curve of the private, and based upon his supply and demand curve he is producing this much level of output. Okay. Now as the production of this output is generating benefit for the society, so the social cost in this case will be less than the private cost. Okay. In case of benefit, as I have explained a bit earlier, the social cost remains lower than the private cost, and over here we have negative external cost. So the social cost will be lying below the private cost. This is the private equilibrium. This is the social equilibrium, and at social equilibrium the society is willing, or the social desirable output is O Q star S. So what we are witnessing? We are witnessing that the private producer is producing less amount than the social desirable output. So over here we are witnessing a problem of underproduction, and this underproduction is due to the presence of external cost. However, this external cost is negative, and it is of the size AES amount. Okay, the external cost is of the size AES amount, and it is negative in nature. The gap between private cost and the social cost is basically your external cost. Here the external cost was positive, here the external cost is negative. When the external cost is positive, you witness overproduction. Here we witness underproduction. So in both the cases, what we are seeing that the social output and the private output does not match. If the social and private output were equal, then there won't be any problem. Okay, the market would have been an equilibrium. But in this case, the social output and the private output remains away from each other, and this is due to the presence of external cost. So if we are able to remove the external cost from the scene, we will be able to bring these two output at a same place. We will be able to merge social output and private output at the same point. Okay. However, due to the presence of this external cost, we are not able to merge them. Rather, they are staying apart from each other, and this situation is basically known as the situation of market failure. Okay. The situation of overproduction or underproduction is termed as market failure, and this market failure over here is due to the presence of external cost. Okay, and more specifically, this external cost is nothing but an externality. Externality is nothing but a harm or benefit that originates from the production of a commodity. Okay, externalities can be of four types. First of all, under production we have two externality, under consumption we have two externality. So now we will only deal with the production side. Under production we have positive externality and negative externality. So here we have the case of negative externality. Here the production of the output by the producer, private producer, was generating a negative externality for the society, and therefore they have to witness a positive external cost. Negative externality means a harmful effect upon the society. The output produced by the producer is generating a harmful effect upon the society. So this is the case of negative externality. And in case of this diagram, we have positive externality. Here the output produced is generating a benefit for the society, and thus we have a negative external cost. Okay, so the presence of positive or negative externality creates market failure in form of overproduction and underproduction. Okay, so I guess this is clear to you. And lastly, I would like to give you a solution of how to merge these two output levels. Over here we are witnessing overproduction. Overproduction, why? Because the private cost is less than the social cost. So if you are able to increase the private cost to the level of social cost, then obviously this output will merge. Okay, and how to increase the private cost? By imposing tax on them. Okay, if you are able to impose taxation upon the private individual, his cost of production will move up, or his cost of production will increase, and his supply curve will merge with the supply curve of the society, and gradually his output level will move towards this side and end up over here. So if you are able to impose taxation in case of negative externalities, you will be able to do away with the problem of market failure, and you will be able to reduce the private output and bring it in line with the social desirable output. So in case of negative externality or positive external cost, we have to impose tax in order to increase the cost of production of the private, and if the cost of production of the private increases, his output level will automatically decrease and get matched or get merged with the social desirable output. And in case of this diagram, over here we were witnessing benefit, so and we were witnessing underproduction. This private individual is not producing an output level which can satisfy the social one. So we need to increase the output level of the private. And how to increase his private level, output level? We can increase his output level by giving him a subsidy. By giving him a subsidy, we will be able to reduce his cost of production and bring his cost in line with the social cost. Over here, private cost was greater than social cost, so we have to bring the private cost down. Okay, and bring it in line with the social cost. If the cost of both the private and social merges, then the private will be influenced, or he will be promoted to increase his output and thus match the social desirable output. So in case of external cost, we have to impose taxation in cost of negative external cost, or in case of positive externality, we have to give subsidy to the producer. Okay, in order to do away with the problem of market failure. So this was the concept of external costs, private cost and social cost.